Hi Nathan, it's Miss Safford and this is today's math lesson. So our focus for today is let's use counters to add. So we're going to do our warm-up first, and our warm-up is questions about us, bird or fish. So the question is, if you could be one of these two animals, either a bird or a fish, which would you rather be? So we had some thinking time, and we got to think about what we would prefer to be. And then we created our graph. So we had bird and we had fish. And then each friend got to tell us whether they'd prefer to be a bird or a fish. I'm going to make this a little bigger for you, bud. There. Okay. And so this is what our graph looked like. Okay. So going back to our questions, it says, would you rather be a bird or a fish? So we went through and it says, how many students would rather be a bird? So in our example, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 friends who would rather be a bird. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4 friends who would rather be a fish. Then we said, how many students would rather be a bird? We said 6. How many students would rather be a fish? We said 4. And then they said, how do you know? And we talked about how we used our 5 frames to count and how we used the being able to see the chart to be able to count. So that would be what this is. So being able to tell there were 6. When I asked people, 6 people raised their hand for bird and only 4 raised their hand for fish. Okay, so that was our quick warm-up for today. And our next activity is called Add Counters. And for this activity, I'm going to be kind of switching between a couple different things. But just stick with me, okay, buddy? So first thing you're going to do is it says let's add with counters. So to get ready, you need to get 10 counters. They can be pennies, coins of any kind. They can be small toys, whatever works best for you. Next, you will answer questions. And finally, we will discuss as a class. So we're going to start. The first thing that it asks us to do is to count out 5 counters. So we started by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and making a row of 5 counters. Okay. Then, oh, there we go. Then the next one is the worksheet that I gave you in Seesaw. And it says count out 2 counters. So I'm going to start with the first 2. And then it says add 2 more counters. So I'm going to put 2 more counters here. And then it says there are blank counters altogether. So then I needed to figure out how many counters I had with my 2 from the beginning and 2 more added. So we counted 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer there is 4. So we went to our worksheet and we wrote a 4 on the line. So it will say there, I have no idea what just happened there. There are 4 counters together. Okay, so that's, you're going to fill in the number, which would be the 4. Okay, I'll highlight that for you here. Then we decided we would write a number sentence. So our number sentence is going to be based on our virtual manipulatives. So let me squish this way down over here. Okay, and so we said we started with these 2 counters. So we started with 2. Then it said add 2 more. So we said this means add, and this is the 2 more. And we know that that is the same as a 4. So we wrote that on our sheet as well. So we wrote there are 4 counters, and then we wrote a number sentence to go along with it. Okay, so then we moved on to the second problem. And this problem says count out 5 counters. And we decided that we would sort of use the idea of a 5 frame. Whether we had the 5 frame or not, we could still use the idea of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many would be across the row in a 5 frame. And then it said add 3 more counters. So we did those underneath just like we would do on a 10 frame. And then it says there are blank counters all together. So again, we decided we would count. But this time, because we knew this 5 was full, we didn't have to count that whole thing. So we said 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are going to write there are 8 counters. I think every time I try typing, it decides it's not going to let me. So, so that one would be there are 8 counters altogether. And then we looked at our number sentence. And again, we noticed that we started with 5 counters. And then it said add 3 more. So we knew add 3. And then that equals 8. Okay. So I'm going to let you do number 3 and number 4 on your own, so you can practice those 2 things. The other thing we did in math today was a math game, but you would not have the materials that you would need to play that math game. So I have provided some other activities in Seesaw for you to do that are similar to the math game that we played today. So those will be your 2 things to do to finish your 4.1 questions, and also to do the other Seesaw activity that I have provided for you. Well, I hope you have a great night, buddy. Hope to see you soon. Bye.